Hey everyone, welcome back to West Coast Mopars. Today on the channel I'm just going to be putting an alternator on this 52 Ferguson. So this tractor, you guys probably seen it earlier. There's an earlier video, it doesn't have that many views, but this is a 1952 Ferguson before they were purchased by, I believe it was purchased by Massey. You guys see Massey Ferguson? Well, this is just a Ferguson. So I got this tractor from my buddy. I won't go through the whole story, but basically it was headed for scrap. I didn't rebuild the engine, but I pulled the head, cleaned out the cylinders. They were very, very rusty. I just cleaned it out with a wire brush and basically honed the cylinders with the stones on the drill, and cleaned out the oil pump and the oil screen. Changed the carb. This is from Amazon, I think. Just some junky little Chinese-made carb, but it works pretty good. It's not for this engine. I think it's for a TEA20. This is a TEA20, which has a smaller engine, I think. But I'm not an expert on these tractors. I didn't really know much about Ferguson until I got this one, and even still I don't really know much. I've done a few things. I half-assed rebuilt the hydraulic pump, which is underneath the seat here. Apparently these seats go for big money, but yeah. Anyways, today I'm going to be addressing this alternator. So basically, it's got a battery in it. It runs great, but it never charges the battery, and you always have to have another battery on hand or use one of those solar-powered, little chargers you leave out, and once it's cloudy outside, it doesn't work. So this alternator, I believe, is a GM one wire, but it doesn't really work. It works and then it doesn't. It's probably because it's out here in the weather. But my thoughts are, I've got so many old Chrysler alternators. Why couldn't I just make a Chrysler one fit, fabricate a bracket or make that work, and then just put a Chrysler regulator in line here, somewhere under the gas tank maybe, and then at least when this thing is running, it always is charging. Because right now, I don't know how they've wired it. They got Morettes and, old Morettes holding everything together, and it's just junk. And it's got this funny little toggle switch here. When this is on, the belt starts squealing because it's charging, I guess. But I put a voltmeter on the battery and it does not work. So it charges like a little bit and then it shuts off. And then, so that's my thoughts. I'm just gonna remove this alternator and then get started on test fitting a Chrysler alternator. I've got a lot of single fields upstairs. If I can find a dual field, that's what I'll use, because those regulators are very simple. They're just electronic. They don't have any points to get stuck. So yeah, be a good way to upgrade the charging system. Alright, so this alternator, I know it's brand new. I think I had actually purchased this for my 65 Fargo, but I had an issue with not having 12 volts to my regulator, so it wasn't exciting the regulator. So I had actually pulled an alternator from another vehicle. I was just sort of doing a trial run. But anyways, I've got a new alternator that was on the shelf, and I just turned the end of this. This was actually a carriage bolt, but it had a square head there. I just turned it on the lathe so that it will fit through this hole here before it used to stop back here, because I had that square. So I just turned it on the lathe to get the most distance for the threads, because then when I put the alternator on and the adjuster, I've got enough threads for a lock washer. So I'll show you guys in a second here. Alright, so there it is hanging there. So the old alternator went to the inside of this bracket. Now this bracket I think is for a generator, not an alternator. Nothing, it's pretty goofy. It's all wonky. This is the throttle linkage back here. And I remember when I was going through the tractor, I had an issue with this binding on this bracket, so something's off. But this old bracket was sitting on the inside here, and the adjuster nut was on the left here, but that doesn't work with these Chrysler ones. So what I've actually got is this bracket came off a Ford 390. But it looks like if I actually put it here on the right side, that is perfectly lined up with where the bolt goes in on the right side of the alternator. So when I lift up on the alternator, tension the belt, I should be able to just put this bracket there and snug it down. Hopefully that'll keep it from sliding down. So we'll give that a try. That's the thing about you know, any of this old stuff. If you're just trying to make something work, it's all trial and error. Nobody, you know, some guys ask me how I come up with stuff, and you just think of something. Just go, I wonder if that would work, and see what you got laying around and give it a try, because you don't know unless you try. Alright, so the alternator is in. It took a bit of screwing around. The adjuster bracket ended up having to go down low. It didn't work up there, and I wasn't even thinking, because it had no way of stopping from moving, right? That bolt was just pivoting. So down here, belt's nice and tight. That's in place. And I've just been going through this atrocious wiring. Now, this is some, you know, it's a tractor. There's some real farmer stuff going on here. So if you look in there, that little switch, and you can see that very well, is the original start switch. So what this tractor actually has is the transmission here has, it's a 4-speed with reverse, but you see there's an S here. So originally, you would have pushed this shifter up into the S position, and that's the starter relay, and that would have engaged this starter. But it doesn't go up there. I think it's jammed or something's happened. So what they've done is they've put in a starter relay. You can see it back there, way back there. That's starter relay. That's your average starter relay to like a Ford pickup or anything. So that is what's hooked up. Now, this is my positive cable, goes to the starter relay. On the other side of the starter relay, I've got this little ignition switch. Pull it out, it's on. Push it in, it's off. It's simple, it's just an on-off. So when you pull it out, it sends 12 volts to the coil, but it also sends 12 volts over on this wire to ignite they had it going straight to the alternator. So I think it was a one-wire GM alternator with a built-in regulator. This wire would have ignited the regulator. So I'm going to use this in my regulator harness. Now I had this plug upstairs on the shelf. This is for a Chrysler, 70 and up Chrysler. And these regulators are 70 and up Chrysler. So one pin is the field, one of the field wires. The other pin gets a field wire, because you got a dual field. There's your two fields. So the other pin is the other field and 12 volt 12 volt source from the ignition. That is what gives power to the regulator to excite it. So it's pretty simple. I know it's confusing when you guys are just looking at the wiring and you know, but they're pretty simple. So in here it's just an absolute mess of wiring. I've still got it hooked to this old ammeter, which I don't even know if it works anymore. I do have another one inside if this doesn't work. This one looks like it got water in it. I don't know what it's going to do. But I'm just going to get this regulator in place, hook it to the alternator, and I might fire it up and just see what it does. I also want to build a shield over this because I don't think once the hood's shut it's really going to protect it from corroding inside, but that is down the road. Alright, so there's the regulator. It's just, you have to have a good ground on these regulators, so I just went through a spot. It already had a bolt here. I've just gone through here, ran a ground back to the negative, the battery. And on this side, I've got the connections done. So the wiring's not the prettiest, but you got two field connections. The battery wire is tiny. I may want to upgrade that. That is so small. That's just what was in here. But I'll see how it does. If the wire starts heating up, I'll change it. But yeah, and then it ran them sort of poorly underneath here. They come up around the back there where they're spliced together. So now we'll just touch the battery. Okay, so not running. We're at 12.3. Let's see what happens when I fire it up. Hopefully it charges. Well, I will take that as a win. Shut it off. It's going back down. Perfect. So yeah, you saw it got up to about 13.7. Ideally, you want 13.8 to 14.2. So I could see it was climbing. I am very happy with that. So now we definitely have to build a little shield over this so that when it rains, you know, this thing doesn't just short out, get corroded inside. But that is awesome. That's very simple. I had the parts on the shelf. Didn't have to purchase anything. I mean, I could have just bought another one wire, but I don't like how they had it. They had it all moretted and just, it was pretty hokey. And also the alternator that they had used sat on this huge angle, so the belt was crooked. I feel like at least mine's a little straighter. I like my tensioner a little better. Got it down here. I've got, the belt doesn't fly around nearly as much, so was a little bit of noise coming out of it. We'll see how long this alternator lasts. I don't know. It was just upstairs on my part shelf, but at least we know it works and that my charging conversion works. And I don't know. This wire doesn't feel warm. I think it's fine. It's not under a huge load, anyways. This tractor does not have anything. There's no headlights. There's nothing. The only thing it has is a tail light, which is not hooked up, and I'm pretty sure it's from like a Model T. It's pretty cool, actually. It's got that clear glass. Maybe I should hook that up one day just to have it come on when you're running the tractor or something. I don't know. But anyways, aside from that, the only thing this thing has is points, and believe it or not, these points are the original points that were in this tractor when I got it. I never even changed them. Same with that coil. It is the same coil that sat outside at my buddy's farm there for years and years. So this thing is awesome. This is a good old tractor. Great for pulling cars around in the yard here. So yeah, anyways guys, if you guys have an old tractor and you're not sure what to do, you know, maybe you got a generator that isn't working, or you want just a simple alternator upgrade, that is, there we go. I've done it. You guys can do it. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you on the next one.